What's up, guys? Welcome to Touchdown Talk, your podcast where everything and anything football goes. I'm your host, Jason. Today we have an incredible episode. It is going to be recapping all of the news from May 21st to May 30th. I was away. I didn't have access to my laptop nor Wi-Fi. I wasn't able to record. I wasn't able to get a video out. So I am back now on my regular schedule, Wednesdays and Saturdays. This video might be extremely long, so depending on how I'm editing it, I might do a part 1 and 2 on Wednesday and Thursday, or if it doesn't come out as long as I think it's going to be, it could just be one part as usual on Wednesday. Now, this week we had a ton of news. We're going to get started on last Saturday, the 21st of May, where we had some news about Allen Robinson. He is confident that the offense will help him bounce back after a down season with the Bears. This per Jordan Rodriguez. Now, Allen Robinson going to the defending Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams, after losing Robert Woods. I think that it's really going to be a good fit for him. I do see him bouncing back this year. Now, I wasn't high on Allen Robinson. I'm not a huge Allen Robinson supporter. I don't think he's an elite receiver, but I do think he's good enough to be a team's number 1, and I think he's going to be the number 2 in LA right now. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be better than Cooper Kupp, nor will he, but he does have a good chance to help this team out, especially with losing Robert Woods, not having Odell. Even if Odell resigns, he's still going to have to recover from his ACL. So he's going to be the clear-cut number 2 there. He's going to compete with Van Jefferson, who had a good end of the season right in there for the Rams. So I do see Allen Robinson playing a big part for the Rams team, but not up to number 1 wide receiver standings, where he obviously wants to be. Now, next, we had some news coming out of New England, where New England Patriot players have reportedly started to question the direction of the team's offensive coaching staff following the departure of Josh McDaniels. Sorry, right there. Per Greg Bedard. Now, I do see the concern as to why this could be a thing in New England. Josh McDaniels has been there for so long. He was set to take over for Bill Belichick, reportedly, but that never came into fruition. Bill Belichick still doesn't seem like he's going anywhere anytime soon. Josh McDaniels needed to up his coaching. He needed to take that next step in his career, and that's what he did going to the Raiders. So the news coming out of New England, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. I mean, later in the year, if the Patriots are underperforming and then players are still coming out and talking about it, whether it be in the media or whether it be after a game, pre-game, during the week of media where the players sit down and answer some questions, this is going to be something to keep our eye on as the season approaches and throughout the season, depending on how New England plays and how this could factor in on how the team goes in future endeavors. Now, after that, we had some news about quarterback Michael Vick. Now, Michael Vick was reportedly agreeing on a deal to play in the fan-controlled football league during the final week of the regular season on May 28th, but this never came into fruition. Later on in the week, Mike Vick did tweet out on Monday the 23rd. 2 days later, he did tweet, "I hung them up in 2015, never to return again. Had an amazing time and accomplished so much. I say that to say they're going to stay hung up and I will not be coming out of retirement. I appreciate the opportunity to play, but I'd rather put my executive hat on with the little ownership that I have." That's what he tweeted out 2 days later following the report on Saturday. He tweeted out on Monday. So Michael Vick does not look like he's coming out of retirement to play in the fan-controlled league, following in other footsteps like Johnny Manziel, who's playing in there. So Vick's staying retired. I don't think this is a huge thing, but it does revolve around the NFL and the circle within the NFL, because he is a commentator for Fox. He does a little with them. So it does revolve around the NFL, just because he does share a part in Fox's pregame show on Sunday mornings. So just had to mention that. But it doesn't look like it's going to be anything big. Mike Vick tweeted out, so it doesn't look like anything's going to happen from that report. Let's move on to Sunday. That was it for Saturday. So let's go to Sunday the 22nd, where Kadarius Toney had a minor knee procedure, which is why he's been in a red jersey on the side of spring OTA practices, and this per Pat Leonard. Now, there was reports earlier in the offseason that Kadarius Toney wanted to be traded, that he was in trade talks because the Giants didn't want him, and now he's getting a knee procedure. So even if those reports were true and the Giants did want to get rid of him, they did want to trade him, there aren't going to be a lot of trade partners until they know the significance of this procedure and what this means for his future. And if he does have knee problems in the future, what that could hold for Toney and his career, it's uncertain right now. It does look like he will be a part of the Giants' 2022 season, but we never know what could happen. We know this has been an insane offseason, especially in the receiver market. Now, moving on to some more important news, more dramatic news, going back dating months now to Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders. Now, this report came and it said that owner Dan Snyder finds himself embroiled in another scandal, this time the subject of a Federal Trade Commission and Virginia Attorney General investigation into potential fraudulent bookkeeping. His fellow owners are reportedly getting fed up. We are counting on quotes. We are counting on votes, and I quote. One team owner told Jarrett Bell of USA Today, implying that the owners were still considering an ouster of Snyder's ownership, which would require 24 votes to force a sale of the organization. Now, later in the week, we got more news about Washington, but it does look like teams are starting to get tired of the allegations, the reports, the scandals coming out of Washington. So Dan Snyder might be out of Washington sooner rather than later. And if this does happen, Washington is going to need to sell their franchise. And this could impact a ton of stuff, including this upcoming season, whether the team has no ownership, whether someone needs to fill in for the time being, if it's going to be like Green Bay where it's fan controlled. So there's a lot to process here, a lot to come about, and this will be figured out, hoping before the season, and for Washington's sake and for the NFL's sake. We don't want this kind of stuff looming within the season. Obviously, Washington doesn't want it going on when they're trying to play and win games to make the playoffs, to compete for a Super Bowl. They don't want this going on. So hopefully, for the NFL's sake, for Washington's sake, for fans' sake, this can get controlled and this can get solved before the season, whether it be getting Snyder out of Washington and they sell in the franchise, or whether it be this going away and Dan Snyder is out, Dan Snyder's in. This does need to be figured out before the season, and hopefully it will, so it doesn't have a huge impact on the NFL season, especially for Washington, the teams in their division, and the opponents they have to face. That was really it for Sunday. There wasn't a lot there. Now, Monday the 23rd, we had a lot of news. We already talked about Michael Vick tweeting out about the reports that he's going to play football again. So let's get started. Earlier on Monday morning, where Garrett Wilson, there was a picture that sent out that he's going to be wearing number 17 for the New York Jets this season. Not big news, but still something we have to talk about. Number 17, Garrett Wilson chose his number. Now next, this was big news because this was something that's been in the works for a couple of weeks. We've been talking about this in past episodes, and that is Jadeveon Clowney and the Cleveland Browns. They finally agreed on a one-year deal worth $11 million per Ian Rappaport. So a deal is finally done. Clowney is staying with Cleveland. This was kind of assumed to happen. There weren't really a lot of pursuers for him. We kind of knew that he was going to stay within Cleveland and stay with the Browns organization. But it is official now, and Clowney will remain with the Browns for one more year, at least until he gets another contract, whether that be with the Browns or a different team next season. Next, we had a big announcement, this featuring Hard Knocks, and we got the news that Arizona will be featured in the in-season version of Hard Knocks. Now, this past season, we had the Indianapolis Colts featured, where we saw an in-depth intake on how the team went about their season. We saw the players at home, the players, what they had to deal with, COVID, we saw illnesses, we saw tragic deaths, we saw a lot of problems within the players in the organization. We also saw proposals. We saw a baby announcement where two of the players for the Colts offensive line, there was shown on the Jumbotron the baby that they were having. There was a gender reveal in the stadium. So that was pretty cool to see, especially getting to know some players more in depth, seeing how they are at home, how their family life is. And you really get a different look on players and how they live outside of the NFL and outside of always playing football. Now, next we had some big news on former Super Bowl winning MVP, and that is Nick Foles. He signed with the Indianapolis Colts on a 2-year deal, reported by Mike Garafolo. Big news because we all know the type of player Nick Foles is, and we know what he can bring to a team. We saw him take over the Philadelphia Eagles and lead them to their first ever Super Bowl back in 2018. So now he's going to go to Indianapolis, be Matt Ryan's backup, and then there's two veterans there within Matt Ryan and Nick Foles. And once again, it's kind of a running joke. Nick Foles replaces Carson Wentz. Indianapolis gets rid of Carson Wentz. Nick Foles takes his spot. Now, Matt Ryan's obviously going to be the starter, but that's something that was in the media and all over the internet just because Nick Foles replaces Carson Wentz on his former team, which, you know, he did it in Philly and won a Super Bowl for them. So that's kind of something that was going around. Then we had more news on Arizona, and that is that Kyler Murray will not be attending Arizona's OTAs, that per Adam Schefter. So Kyler Murray, we know the drama going around with him, his contract, he wants a new deal before the season. So that is something that we're going to be looking at before the season and leading up to kickoff. That is if Kyler Murray and his agent can get a deal done with the Arizona Cardinals. We saw his agent, who also represents head coach Cliff Kingsbury. He got a deal done for Kingsbury. So now he's going to be looking to get his client Kyler Murray a deal done before the season. That way there aren't looming matters within the organization. There aren't problems within the organization leading up to the season. That way everything's cleared up before kickoff for the Cardinals. Next, we had Deebo Samuel. He was reported that he will not attend the San Francisco 49ers OTAs, that per Ian Rappaport. Now, Deebo Samuel, obviously one of those other players who wants a deal done, and he is well-deserving of a new deal. He's well-deserving of that massive deal, especially if the 49ers are going to ask him to play that role with wide receiver, running back. He obviously deserves to be paid a little extra due to the playtime he has. It's definitely a wear on his body, and if they want that from him and how much playtime he does get for the team, I think that he should be paid a couple extra because he's a dual threat and he's playing both positions for the team. Staying with the 49ers, they signed tight end Tyler Kroft to a 1-year deal. Good news for the Niners, they get a backup tight end. They add someone to that locker room. And not really big news because George Kittle's there, but Kittle has been dealing with some injuries these past couple of seasons. So having another tight end who's been in the league there just in case something happens to Kittle is always good. Now, staying with George Kittle, he spoke with Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio on Travis Kelce, and he said, and I quote, "I mean, Travis Kelce, 6 seasons in a row, 1,000 yards. I'm pretty sure he has the most receiving yards over any wide receiver. Skill position in the last 6 years. He gets paid half of what wide receivers make, which just boggles my mind. I mean, to me, Travis Kelce, he's been doing it for so long and at such a high level. And he doesn't have an off game. I think he has one bad game a year, and it's just because he's getting triple teamed." So George Kittle, obviously high praise for Travis Kelce. We see what Travis Kelce does year in and year out. Now, it does help to have Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, but still what Travis Kelce is able to do on those triple teams, as Kittle mentioned, on double teams, single coverage on safeties, linebackers. No matter who covers Travis Kelce, he always finds a way to get it done on the field. Now let's transition back to the Washington Commanders. I said that we had more news later in the week, and here's where the news came out. Just a day after the allegations on Dan Snyder, we had the news that Washington purchased around 200 acres of land in Virginia for more than $100 million for what could be used as a potential site for their new stadium. This per ESPN's John Keim. Now, with the news with Dan Snyder, we just talked about what could happen to the team if he is forced out, and that is possibly a new location, which this acre could be used for. So, I do believe that later in the week we got news that it was going to be turned into a practice facility, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact thing, but I did see something on the internet that had a picture of it. I saw somebody on Instagram, I think, posted it. So I don't remember what or where, but I'm pretty sure that it was going to be turned into a practice facility, not a site for a new stadium. So it doesn't look like they're going to be moving to Virginia, but I think that it's going to be a practice field, if I'm not wrong. I do have to double check that though. Now, staying on track with Monday, the Philadelphia Eagles claimed corner Jimmy Moreland. The team announced this, so pretty good news for the Eagles. They're adding another corner. He'll probably be their fifth string corner if I do look at their depth chart. I know they signed James Bradbury, so they have Slay, Bradbury, Maddox in the slot. They have a rookie from last year in Zach McPherson. So I don't think that Moreland's going to be a big part of the team. I think he'll be more of a veteran presence in the locker room. And then to cap off Monday, we saw that the Ravens signed veteran defensive lineman Brett Urban. Now this per Kate Urban and Ian Rappaport. So the Ravens bring in a defensive lineman to help fill a gap on the team. But other than that, it's kind of a veteran leadership role, I guess. Not too big of a splash signing, especially this late in the offseason. On Tuesday, the 24th, we had a couple of big news. So, starting off, Russell Wilson had a lot of appreciation for his time in Seattle, but he said that this game, week 1 against Seattle, is kind of just one more game. And I quote, "I think it's going to be an exciting time. Obviously, Seattle's meant the world to me over the past 10 years. I think for me, it's not emotional. It's just going to be non-emotional. You got to be able to go into it with the understanding that it's just ball." Now, this per James Palmer. I believe Palmer was at the press conference. He did post a video. He added this quote in his tweet. As you can see above, I'll put it right here for you guys. So I do believe Palmer was in Denver. So this really coming straight from the source. I think Russell Wilson, he's obviously going to say this to the media, but we all know that what his time in Seattle was. It was special. We didn't see him leaving. Nobody saw this coming. So really, I think other than last year where there were reports that he was unhappy, I think Russell Wilson, this is obviously going to be much more than just a game. It's going to be a lot of emotion on both sides for Russell Wilson and for Seattle, especially Pete Carroll, the ownership, his fellow teammates that he played with for so long. I mean, he's been there his entire career. So there's no way this game can just be one more game for Russell Wilson. We had some news on Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin was not present for Monday's first workout of organized team activities and has been absent at workouts since the end of April's draft. Now, this report, according to Nikki, I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but I will put it here for you guys, of the Washington Post. They also added that the two sides remain far apart in contract negotiations. Big news here coming from Washington. Not only allegations, not only a new stadium, but their best offensive player, their leader on that offensive side of the ball, is not attending team activities, and him being the captain of the offense. This isn't a good sign. especially for Washington. McLaurin is such a great player. I feel he is underrated. Just the stats that he puts up with below average to mediocre quarterbacks. He's never really had a stud at quarterback, but he still finds a way to put up the numbers he does, which is extraordinary to me. We did have some other news on Tuesday. Leaf Trading Cards filed a civil lawsuit against Dallas Cowboy wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, seeking damages for an alleged breach of contract. Mike Fisher of Sports Illustrated obtained a copy of the lawsuit filed in Texas, which cites the company's loss of income and loss of goodwill because of customers who failed to receive autographed cards from Lamb that were promised by the company. So not big news in the NFL, but something to look at in Lamb if this could loom over his head. I would assume he gets this handled and figured out quickly, whether he just needs to sign the cards to get it over with, pay the company off. There needs to be something he can figure out. He doesn't want this looming over his head. He doesn't want more information coming out. So I think he'll really quiet this, just take care of it and get it out of the way before it turns into a bigger matter. The Baltimore Ravens signed quarterback Brett Hundley, the team announced. So a backup quarterback for Lamar Jackson. We all know what's been going on with his contract. He needs money a lot, same as other players. You don't want it to keep coming, but that's still something that Baltimore has to watch out for. The Arizona Cardinals signed Darrell Williams per Jordan Schultz. Now, Williams took a year off because of COVID, so we haven't seen him in quite some time on the field, but the last time we saw him, he made a big impact for the Chiefs, scoring that last touchdown in the Super Bowl to help them edge out the San Francisco 49ers. But a good signing for Arizona. He'll compete with James Conner. They lost Chase Edmonds, so he's really going to fill that number 2 running back role. He'll compete with James Conner for the number 1 role, but after the season James Conner had, I think that Arizona really wants him to be the number 2 to back up James Conner. Back to the Baltimore Ravens. They signed a 1-year deal with cornerback Kyler Fuller, the team announced. So, adding in more for the defense. We saw last year what happened with them, where Marlon Humphrey got hurt, Marcus Peters got hurt. So, Marcus Peters missing the entire season after getting hurt in practice. Then another player got hurt in practice, so they ended up just stopping practice all in all and canceling it. So now Kyle Fuller gets to be the corner 3 on that team. I would assume, looking at the team, I don't see, besides Peters and Humphrey, a corner. Now, Kyle Fuller is really a veteran presence. He's going to be a role put in. He's going to be a pick-and-place kind of guy. He's not going to be a day 1 starter for them just because they have Humphreys and Peters. But when you look at their depth chart at the cornerback position, aside from Peters and Humphreys, he's going to be their number 3 guy. And then safety position, you have Williams and Hamilton. So he will be the cornerback number 3 because looking at the depth chart, I would assume that's where he is placed. Now on Wednesday, we had some news dating back to last week. Ryan Tannehill spoke about his comment on Malik Willis. He said he meant no disrespect to Malik, and he is disappointed with how things got twisted. This per Jim Wyatt. So I'm going to play the video here for you guys so you can watch the video and hear what Ryan Tannehill said.
I gave last time, I meant no disrespect to Malik or anything close.
Now we're back and we're going to talk about Atlanta. They signed running back Jeremy Nichols. I think that a good signing for Atlanta in a way, just adding more depth to the team. And then the new NFL coaching cycle for after the season. Very complicated in this picture. I don't know how to depict it. I don't know how to pull it apart. But I do believe that Mike Garafolo posted this. So if you want to go check out his Twitter and scroll till you see it, I think there is an explanation somewhere, whether it was on ESPN, NFL Network, or on Twitter. I do think that there was an explanation to what all of this means. And then just a quick shout out to Good Morning Football. They won the Sports Emmy for Most Outstanding Studio Show daily. And I just want to say congratulations to Kay Adams. I know she left the show. To Kyle Brandt, Peter Schrager, and Nate Burleson, who left a while ago, but still a big part of my morning. I watch their show from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day. So a big part of my everyday morning, watching them and seeing what they have to say about the NFL. So huge congratulations once again to Kyle Brandt, Kay Adams, and Peter Schrager. Let's move on to Kyle Shanahan, who spoke about Jimmy Garoppolo and Deebo Samuel. When speaking about Deebo Samuel, I feel that, I'm going to quote, "I feel the same, if not stronger." This was what his response was when asked about his confidence in resolving the situation. Now, when he talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, he said he expects Jimmy Garoppolo to be traded, but nothing is guaranteed in the league. This per Ari Meirov. So, him saying that he thinks Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be traded, I think that this is kind of throwing that into the atmosphere so everyone can twist it in their own ways in the media like they do with everything. But I do think Garoppolo will not be a part of the San Francisco 49ers. It's just a matter of teams waiting to see him throw once he's able to throw again. And then once he's able to throw and they see what he has, then I think teams with mediocre quarterbacks, maybe looking for a veteran, they'll be able to swoop in and make an offer to the 49ers. And then we had some news. Quarterback who has not been in the league for a while, a lot of controversy with what transpired and how he exited the NFL. And that is Colin Kaepernick, who worked out for the Las Vegas Raiders on Wednesday per Ian Rappaport. And then later in the week, we found out that his workout went really well with the Raiders, but nothing is imminent with the team. So it doesn't look like they'll be signing him soon, but it's something to keep an eye on for the future. The Pittsburgh Steelers finally found their general manager. After a long-awaited time, they promoted Vice President of Football and Business Administration Omar Khan to general manager, the team announced. More news, linebacker Devin White from the Buccaneers said it's Super Bowl or nothing next season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I think that Devin White saying this, I mean, every team is basically Super Bowl or nothing, but him saying this, I think there's more of a deep meaning. Maybe it's Tom Brady telling the team that he'll officially be retiring after the season or something. But for Devin White to come out and say this, I think there is a deeper meaning to it. Sorry, just had a few connectivity issues. So as you could see throughout parts of the video, it looks like it's been cut out and transitioned. That is because some parts get cut out. But I think we are back now. I think the connection should be fully good for the rest of this video. Now for this part, it will be broken up into two parts, this video. I mentioned that earlier. But this video is going to stop on Wednesday, at the end of the day, Wednesday. I'm going to cover the rest of the news for Wednesday, and then I'm going to stop it. That way, since this video will be out Wednesday, I will be able to cover the entire week leading up to last Wednesday, and then the next part will go out Thursday, which will cover from last Wednesday all the way up to Monday night. So that is what we're at for this video. It's going to be two parts, as I just described. So let's get back where we left off, and that is with the Atlanta Falcons, and their coach Arthur Smith announced that Deion Jones is out for the offseason. This per Orlando Ledbetter. Now this could be a drastic change for the Falcons and how their team looks, especially with Jones being the leader for their defense, the leader on that team, and being one of the most veteran presences for that team. And if this can carry out throughout the regular season, Atlanta could be in trouble. Now next, we had some news on Lamar Jackson. As I mentioned his contract earlier, he is going to miss the opening week of Baltimore Ravens voluntary OTAs. Now John Harbaugh talked about it on Wednesday, where he told reporters, and I quote, "We've been down this road many times through the years. I'll just let Lamar speak for himself on that. It's for him to talk about. You can ask him." Now, this per Jamison Hansley. So, John Harbaugh giving the freedom to Lamar to talk about it, kind of saying that it's not his place. He really wants Lamar to talk about it that way. Nothing gets construed and misrepresented, which is good because John Harbaugh is a vet in the NFL. He knows how the media is. He knows how whatever people say gets twisted. So he just said that let Lamar speak for himself. He doesn't want to speak for Lamar. Another quarterback, Kyler Murray. The Cardinals' general manager, Steve Keim, expressed confidence that Kyler Murray will agree to a new contract in the near future. Now, he spoke on the Pat McAfee show on Wednesday, and I quote, Arizona Cardinals general manager said, I just think it's a timing thing. Every quarterback that's done it before has done it anywhere from July to September. We know that he's under contract for another year and also the 5th-year option. Here's our future. We feel that way strongly, and I feel like we'll be able to get something done this summer. So he goes on the Pat McAfee show, says this about Kyler, and obviously what Arizona's done, they've built the entire offense around Kyler. They brought in big receivers like Hopkins and A.J. Green, who, since Kyler's a smaller quarterback, if he just needs to throw up the ball, his guys will be able to get it. Like we saw in the Bills game where we saw the Hail Murray, people called it, where Kyler just threw it up in the end zone at the end of the game, and we saw what DeAndre Hopkins did over 3 defenders. So, I mean, that's the type of offense they want to run. Now with multiple running backs, more veteran presences, they brought in Zach Ertz. They're really building the offense around Kyler. Then we had big news on Jon Gruden. Yes, this goes back to Jon Gruden, back to the news around him. NFL lost a bid Wednesday to scuttle a lawsuit by former Raiders coach Jon Gruden, accusing the league of a malicious and orchestrated campaign to force him to resign, including the leaked emails, the offensive emails he wrote. So NFL lost a bid in the lawsuit. So don't know where this goes from now. I don't know any of the legal statements from either side. I don't know any news on the legal side of what's been going on. But it does seem that Jon Gruden is on his way to win the lawsuit, if I had to guess based on this statement. But I am not entirely sure. So you guys can look that up, see if you guys can find more information. And if you do, let me know in the comments what you guys do find on this. Then we did see that the Ravens, going back, they signed Brett Hundley. That's just another note that I threw in there just because the Lamar news came out. So just throw back in that Brett Hundley is on the team just in case something happens with Lamar. They brought in another quarterback. But the biggest news that we had on Wednesday was a heated conversation between Javon Kinlaw and Grant Cohn. Now I'm going to play a clip from that video. Now I don't want to get copyrighted, so I'm going to give full note that this video is from Grant Cohn's YouTube. I just took it from his YouTube. I'm going to play just a part of it. I'm going to give full credit to Cohn. I will link his video in the description. That way you guys can go check out his full video. But here's a clip of the heated conversation between Kinlaw and Grant Cohn.
Shit, bro. What you get out of doing this? What satisfaction do you get out of this, fam?
Can I ask you a question?
Answer my question.
What satisfaction do I get out of analyzing the 49ers? A lot.
Man, you analyzing people like they not human, fam. Like, oh, this dude this dude that, this dude this dude that. Fam, I understand that's your job, but like, bro, you got to go about this thing a different type of way, bro.
Hold on.
You got to go about this a different type of way, bro.
Hold on. Can I ask you a question?
What's up?
What did I say about you that you object to?
Man, all this shit you talking, all this back and forth, all this bickering, all this, I was in the training room today. Fam, the training room is nowhere near the field. Ma'am, I looked at you, you looked at me, you pulled your shades up, came walking over a little bit, not walk up a little bit, just so I could make sure that it was you. I walked over, I approached you, put my chest on you, on your side. You turned towards me, and that was the rest of the story, fam.
Hold on though.
Stop making it seem like I came about you at a cowardly way. I came at you man to man, brother. Put some respect on my name, bro. You don't know me. You don't know where I'm from, bro. Put some respect on my name, brother. I'm a man just like you. My nuts is bigger than yours, brother.
I asked you what I said about you.
My balls is bigger than yours, brother. Put some respect on my name.
All right, Javon.
Put some respect on my name, brother. Stop talking about me like I'm an animal or something, brother.
What did I say about you?
Don't worry about none of that. Don't worry about none of that. You already know.
Javon, if you're gonna come on my channel,
you want to try to bring me hardcore facts, bro.
Javon, you're gonna come on my channel and tell me what to say and what not to say. You should have some. You should have some posts. What did I say about you,
bro? Nobody fucks with that. Nobody fucks with you. You don't even understand that. Nobody fucks with you, brother. You need to go find a new job. Nobody fucks with you.
What does that mean?
What you mean? What it mean? Nobody fucks with you.
Are you sure?
Nobody fucks with you, fam. And the only reason I'm getting on here stooping to your level this low is because I feel like it got to be done. Somebody got to do it, and it's going to be me.
I'm back now, and just a few thoughts on this. Grant Cohn and Kinlaw, this looked to get heated really quick, really early, and it kind of looked like there was some backstory to players not liking Cohn in the building, not liking him around. And then we saw the following tweets from players. I'll put some of them up here on what players said. So it's really like a mix of, like, as you go through these, the 49er players, the NFL players coming out saying this stuff about Cohn and really sticking up for their teammate in Javon Kinlaw. And, you know, Grant Cohn later posted another video that, you know, if Javon Kinlaw even touched him, if he even pushed him, that he would be able to retire, that he would sue Kinlaw, but he has to still work. So I think players took offense to him coming out and saying that if Kinlaw pushed him, he'd be able to sue him and get millions of dollars. That way he would be able to retire. So I don't know where this went wrong. I don't know if it had to stem from something prior to the video, or maybe there was just something that we didn't see coming. But stuff like this doesn't just come out of nowhere. So there had to be something prior to this that really led to it. And, I mean, we saw that Kinlaw and Grant Cohn really got into it. Kinlaw more than Cohn. I mean, you could tell that Kinlaw was heated based on the video. But Grant Cohn still came out and posted multiple videos after the fact saying things. So really up in the air. Players, as you can see by the tweets that I put up there for you guys, obviously they don't agree with what Cohn did or how he brought the news up, what he said to Kinlaw, what he said about Kinlaw. But all in all, this is something that players go through. And obviously the NFL community, the media, former players, current players, Kinlaw's teammates, other players, they're coming out and speaking on the matter, which is something we could see a lot more of, because this really could shed a light on stuff that we don't really see as fans. We don't really know what happens behind the scenes between beat reporters, on-field reporters, and players. So this could shed a light on future events that do transpire. But that is going to be it for part 1 of the video. Like I said, this is the end of Wednesday, May 25th. On Thursday, I will be posting part 2, which will stem from Thursday, May 26th, all the way to Monday, May 30th. That is going to be part 2 coming out on Thursday. But this is part 1. It will be out Wednesday. As always, all of these designs are on the Instagram, as you can see here. I am growing a bit. I want to keep growing. So if you guys do want to go check out the Instagram, go ahead and do that. All of these designs I make on my own. All of these reports are on the Instagram. I'm working on a bunch of new things that are coming out, and I'm really looking forward to including them in future videos. And I'm really looking forward to getting back on track, back on schedule for you guys. So if you did enjoy this, come back for part 2 tomorrow. That's going to be it for this episode. See you next time.